Hey, iShine Bright family! Welcome to another video newsletter edition. And we are going to pick up the ball and carry it from last week where we talked about values. And this is all in preparation for the workshop that we have coming up next week, Thursday, the 21st. I'll remind you at the end as well, but it's around values and boundaries. So today I want to talk about that second part of it, which is the boundaries. And once we know what our values are, it makes it so much easier to put boundaries in place. And we, as adults, need boundaries, but our children not only need boundaries, they also want boundaries. And they may not articulate that in so many words, but they really want boundaries. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that and help you to understand that a little bit more. So having boundaries in place helps them navigate the world. It helps them see how the world works. It helps them to see how they can best operate in the world, what they are capable of, and it really actually allows them to live in that growth mindset that we have talked about in the past. So how is that? So with the boundaries, they know what is expected of them. When we have been able to have a good solid conversation with them about what boundaries are, and again, this can be from our littles, like 3 years old, 4 years old, all the way up through the teenage years. Once they understand why the boundaries are in place, what values those boundaries are made from or come from, they are much more eligible in their mind to accept those boundaries for what they are. And these are not just some arbitrary things. This is just not mom and dad being mean, telling me that I can do this and I can't do this. These are boundaries, rules that are made with love. And so there is a reason for them. And because they have that reasoning, that rationale, they are more suspect to be able to adhere to them. So with that, they learn about integrity. They learn from the boundaries and us maintaining those boundaries and being consistent what integrity is. They understand why those boundaries are in place, so they have integrity on what they stand for. They have integrity with us because we adhere to those same boundaries. We're not just a mouthpiece, and we're not do as I say, not as I do. And then they can trust us. They can trust us that if they mess up, and they will, because that's their job as they are growing, is to push against the boundaries and see what they are capable of. When they mess up, we are there to help reinforce the boundaries, to help remind them why the boundaries are in place, and to help figure out what we can do differently next time, what different choices they can make so that they can adhere to or stick within the boundaries. Again, because they're important for a reason. Not just some namby-pamby, our boundaries are that you can't have, I can't think of one right now, which is really bizarre for me, because anyway, I'll come up with one by the end. I can't think of a bad boundary right now. I can only think of the good ones. So things are predictable. And so that helps them have a sense of stability and safety and security so that they know that they can trust us. And this is not only with the boundaries specifically that we are addressing at that time, but that they can trust us in general. They can trust us to be there for them when they make mistakes. They can trust us to be there for them when they skin their knee. They can trust us to be there as their support, as their cheerleader, as their go-to, as their confidant. And this is what we want as parents. We want our kids to be able to come to us and to help us guide them as they go on their journey, on their path. So this also helps them with their own self-esteem. So as they are navigating boundaries, they're going to make mistakes. And what helps them with their self-esteem is that, again, we are there for them, but that they can figure out what works for them and what doesn't. So a fail is not a fail. It's always a lesson. It's always a blessing in disguise. It's always an opportunity to try something new in a different way. So they start to develop a stronger sense of self, which means a stronger sense of self-confidence, a stronger sense of self-esteem, even when they make those mistakes. And the boundaries are in place so that they have a litmus test to know, okay, this is what I'm striving for. This is where I screwed up. Okay, I can figure out something to do something different next time so that I can stay with the goal in mind, the end goal in mind. And so that's where the self-esteem comes from. So if we don't give them boundaries or enforce those boundaries, they become over-reliant on us. They get a sense that we don't trust them to make their own mistakes, or that we are overbearing and controlling. So by that same token, in that same vein, if our boundaries are too rigid, then they become defiant and aggressive against those. So again, if the boundaries are made in values and are not too rigid, I'm not saying that we should be permissive by any stretch of the imagination, but if we can allow them to understand how to work within those boundaries, then they have that stronger sense of self. They can understand that they can make choices and decisions for themselves, and that all is going to be good. So boundaries also teach control in the sense of what is acceptable behavior. It allows them to be independent. It teaches them how to make mistakes and how to learn from those mistakes. So kids that do not have boundaries tend to become those kids that are procrastinators. They are aggressive when it comes to structure. They're defiant against structure. They have a low sense of self-esteem because they haven't been able to see that they can come back from problems or mistakes or failures or difficulties. They also have a lack of sense of responsibility, and so as they grow up, things become much more difficult for them, and they are threatened by structure and boundaries, which I know sounds all negative, but that can have really long-lasting impacts on the relationships that they have, their relationship with money, their relationship with authority, their relationship to be able to handle a job, and their relationship to be able to navigate life in other relationships. So that's a lot to say, and again, we're going to talk a lot more about this and kind of work through some specific examples or questions that you may have in the workshop. Again, that workshop is free. It's free to you guys. You are the family. There is a workbook that I'm going to have there. We'll talk through examples. That is next Thursday, the 21st of September, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be about 30 minutes is all. There will be a replay. I'm trying this new format. I think that from feedback that I've had from you guys, you'll really like that, and I love interacting with you. Just, you have such amazing questions, and I love getting to know your families a little bit better, and I love being able to be there for you and support you as well. So that's it for this newsletter. I will put more of that detail in the body of the newsletter as it comes out in the email. Shoot me a reply if you have any questions. As you're seeing this on YouTube, if you would like to pass it along to your friends, please do so. Please feel free to subscribe as well and get notifications. The algorithm loves that, and that way we can reach more families as well. So I appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. I really do. Oops, sorry about hitting the mic. I really do love you all, and I will see you soon.